Hello and welcome back to the Programming Bootcamp with Nora and myself,
Hi.
Gabor. Hello, Nora. In this video, we are going to go over the exercises that were given in the last video in the list chapter. So let me just show for a second the screen. This is the screen, hopefully. And on this screen, you can see the introduction page and then a reminder, Code Maven website. And then on the website, here is the list of the Python programming course, the chapters, and we are going to go to the list chapters, and there at the end, towards the end, here were the exercises. And I won't go over the exercises now because that's going to be boring. I'll give the video and sharing to Nora, and then you can show what did you do, how did you do the exercises, how were the exercises anyway?
I think they were quite all right. I had one issue with maybe the last one. The rest, obviously, you'll tell me what the issues are, if any.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go over them then. I'll share my solutions. Right. Is the font size all right?
I am going to move to the other screen because perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the first exercise that we had was the color menu. With 4 different stages. I did them separately as well, but if you want, I can just show the last one with everything in it.
Okay.
Which one would you prefer?
Go on. Last one is okay.
Okay, so that's this one. So here we already had command line, the possibility to have a command line input. So
sorry. Okay, let's go back to
let's go over all of them.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
in
the last 6 hours, I was writing in Perl, in the total different programming language, and now I started to look at this, and it looked really strange, the code. Why are things were missing? And I said, okay, no, it's Python. So it's strange. Yeah. Okay. So let's go for
so in the first one, what we simply had was a list of colors, which we had to print out as sort of a menu, and then prompt the user for an input to type in the number of the required color, and then just print out the color itself.
Yeah.
So for this, I used, firstly, to print the menu, I used this enumerate function that we learned in this chapter. And to actually write it as a menu, I didn't just print out the index, I printed out the index +1 so that we would start from 1.
Right.
And then instead of a space as a separator, I used a dot and a space.
Okay.
And then simply just get an input from the user, and then whatever that might be, supposedly a number, this would be the printout, which I would get from the index. Use the input as the index.
Yeah. Okay. One note I think here, but it's probably throughout the whole things, is that personally, at least for me, I think I never used the SEP. So I show it in the exercises in the slides, but I think I never used it. I think I would probably prefer a print an F string. It's just my. That's how I would write. Okay.
Right.
But it's okay. So let's go ahead.
Right. Okay. So in the next one, we had to make sure that we could get float numbers. We could handle float numbers and strings as the input as well. If the input is not just simply an integer, then that would be the case. So for that, I did 2 different things. This was actually something I wanted to ask you. So why would we want to distinguish between float numbers and normal like integers here, when actually this can handle float numbers?
Right. So what do you mean?
I suppose it was just an example for now, but
yeah. What do you mean it can handle float numbers?
So even if the input is a float number, like a 1.0 or a 1.2, it will handle it as 1 and then print out.
Right. And if someone types in 1.3?
I think that too, but I'm not too sure. Do you want me
Okay.
to try with the first one?
Yeah, we can, if you can run it.
Yeah, okay. Can you see my prompt here?
No, I
No,
think you're
I need to
only sharing.
share it. Okay.
Yeah, only sharing the.
Right. Okay, so now here, can
Yeah.
you only see the screen or
Yeah, I
just the
can share the.
prompt?
Now only prompt.
Okay, right, that's
Well,
fine.
okay.
Right, so let's see, which was it?
The second.
Well, the first one, because the
Okay.
second already has the.
Okay.
So if I type in 1.3 now,
Yeah.
aha, okay.
Okay, because
So it's
trying.
only if it's a whole number, right?
Yeah, but the error is because you're trying to convert it into int. Try to run it
Oh,
with
right,
1.0. I'm not sure.
okay.
I think it's going to be interesting. Actually, I don't know it. I've never
Yeah,
tried
it
it.
blows up
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
tried to convert it,
yeah.
yes.
So I don't know if. So the thing is that I don't know actually if you give a floating point to a list, whether it would handle it proper, it would convert it automatically to an integer. I would be surprised.
I remember I had this question because I tried it at one point, putting in
Okay,
1.0
okay,
somewhere where I didn't actually transfer it into an integer, and it worked.
yeah. Would you like to try it on in the interpreter
This,
in the CLI? So you just type in Python and then
right, that's not gonna work.
oh, that's
Wait.
what happened here.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm in the. I don't know. It happens when I prompt Python from one of the directories. I'm not too sure why. This is what it gives, right? Probably
Okay,
because some other, I don't know.
okay. We can try to troubleshoot it later. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, for now, okay. So you can. Yeah, I'm not sure. So well, hopefully that we are in the interactive
Should be. Yeah.
yeah. So just create a list
Okay.
of two values or even just yeah. It can be just two
Whatever.
numbers, whatever, 2 and 3, doesn't matter. Yeah. And then try to access the a and square bracket and give it a
Okay.
floating point number.
A 1.0.
Okay, let's try this one.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So Python is strict in this sense that it won't accept a floating point because it
Right.
expects an integer. But the main point, my main point, I think that with the exercise was, or the idea is that how much do you check the input, how the correctness of the input, because it might work. So in some other language, maybe I mean specifically the Perl that I was just writing now, it would just accept a floating point there, and I think it would just convert automatically to integer.
Right.
And Python is more strict in this. But the thing is that if someone actually types in 1.3, then probably that person just doesn't understand what is expected from
Right.
that person, from the input. And then it might mean that 1.3 is not actually the meaning of 1. So it didn't mean the person. So it's probably better not to guess what the user actually wanted, but to tell the user, okay, this is not correct. We are actually expecting an integer.
Right.
Okay, and within this range and so on.
Okay. Well, to do that, because we talked about this before, saying that the methods that we've seen before, for instance, is decimal and is numerical. Yeah, is
Yeah,
numerical. We're not working on floating numbers actually. Then I just did a little research and used something that we didn't use before.
right.
I don't know if you wanted to introduce that quite
Go
so
ahead.
early.
No, just go ahead.
Which was this try and accept
Okay.
thing. I don't know
No,
what you call it, expressions.
this is called, yeah, well, it's a well in general these are statements in Python,
Statement, right?
but this is an exception handling. This is what we call exception handling in Python.
Right. So firstly, I checked if the input itself was an integer or not, and only did this if it's not an integer.
Okay.
And then if it was a float, so I tried to convert it into a float, and if it works, then I would print out this statement saying that this is the floating point number that you entered. Please enter something else instead.
Okay.
Without decimal point. Also checked if the user typed in 1 and dot, as in the first bit of the menu, like not as a floating point number, just 1 and dot, that would also be handled as a floating point number.
Okay.
So that's why I added this without decimal point bit.
Yeah.
And then if
that's actually a standard question I ask people. I don't know if so much in the Python course, but more probably in the Perl course, when I do the similar idea, is that what do you actually consider a number? And that's actually the thing that you just checked. So writing 1 dot, would you consider a number? And
no.
well, it all depends. So some system, and if I just say dot 3, would you consider that to be a floating point number?
Yeah, this is interesting actually.
Right. So it all depends on the system, and whether Python or Perl or some other language accepts something as an integer or a floating point. Well, the integer is clearer, but as a floating point number, that's a question. And not only programming languages, all kind of other applications and devices, and I'm sure that there are devices that if you electronic devices that if you they ask you a number, and if you type in something dot, then it will just burn the battery or whatever, the CPU, because they didn't think about this, and they just can't handle it. Okay, so but that's just when you say, is it a number? We don't exactly agree on this.
Yeah.
I mean, people in general and devices and programming languages. Okay, so right. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so if it didn't actually manage to turn it into a float, if there was an exception in this try statement,
yeah,
then it would go to the except clause, I would say.
Yeah, except part.
And
yeah.
here I had to add what type of an error I'm expecting from the previous one.
Yeah.
So if it's a different type of error, then it would still give an exception. It would still blow up.
Yeah.
But if it's a value error, which I would imagine it is if someone entered a string and it's not obviously it's not a float, it can't be turned into a float, then I would simply print what you entered is a string, this string, and then please enter a number. Now, in both of these cases, this is already in a while loop, which would go back to prompt the user for a new input.
Okay.
And then if it is decimal, right? If it's an integer, then I wouldn't have any problem converting it into an integer and then comparing it between numbers. So here first I had to check if the number they typed in is actually in range. So if it's smaller than 0, or if it's long, I could have just said 4, because the list contains only 4 numbers for objects. But I went with the solution where I just say whatever the length of the original list is, if the number is higher than that, then it's out of range, and then I would print out this statement saying that it's out of range, and then I prompt the user again for a new input.
Okay.
And I only break out of this loop if these statements don't go back, and then I just simply print out the same statement as in the previous solution and break.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's a good point, very good point, that you use the len function and calculated the end of it, because otherwise you would, if you just write 4, then whenever you update the list at the top, you'll have to remember updating this, and
Yeah.
surely either you or someone else later trying to improve this code would forget it, or wouldn't
Yeah.
know it. Okay, let's try to run this program.
This one. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't see my prompt now, can you?
No.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that would be
Number 2.
yes. I just have to relocate us
You can just
on the
up
screen.
arrow, no? You put up arrow and then, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
there.
could.
Okay. Yeah, there you are.
Right.
Okay, so let's try 2. That worked. Okay, let's run it
Yes.
again.
Okay.
Let's try 0. Okay, so it's white.
That's interesting. Right.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
Shall I go back to the code?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, and then try to let me know why did it happen.
Because there should be this here.
Right. Okay. So that way you would actually manage to avoid this problem.
Yes.
But why was it white?
That I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. So what was
Why should it be?
what was, so you got 0 there, and then you
Yes.
we were accessing index 0 minus 1.
Minus 1.
Right.
Right.
So
Which would lope over to the end.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you use negative numbers, it's actually counting from the end, and minus 1 is the last item.
Right.
And this is something that exists in Python and in Perl and in usually the dynamic languages. It's something that doesn't exist in many other languages. The possibility to use the negative numbers and meaning from the beginning of the list. Okay, so it's just an interesting thing that Python supports, and some other languages support, but not every other language.
Right.
Okay, nice. Okay, let's go ahead. Next one.
Okay, the next one. Here we had to implement a command line argument as well, to accept a command line argument.
Okay.
So here I had to put in an extra condition, which was obviously if there is no command line argument, then I don't want to deal with this whole thing here. But if there is a command line argument, then I have to check if the command line argument is actually an integer or not.
Okay.
So here I just, if it's not an integer, then I would print out this line, which is actually
probably the same that you have below, right?
Yeah, I just missed the F there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if it is an integer, then I would do the same thing here. Okay, I need this again.
Right.
The out of range thing, and then just go on using this number as it is.
Yeah.
But if there is no command line argument, then I would still need to prompt the user for an input. So this is the same as before.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
I just the only thing that I had to change was I couldn't put this print statement in the while loop because I would have had to use it even if there is no input, if it's only a command line argument. So I just put it at the end.
Okay, good. So
yeah.
So just to say something, so I will I'll prove that that's verse paying for me. So that I can say something here. A couple of things. One of them is that you have repeated the whole conditioning thing, the conditions, the checking twice, both once at the beginning and once here. So we'll have to. It's gonna be. We are not going to do it now, but it's gonna be a nice improvement trying to move it to a single place. Maybe once you have once you have functions, then do the functions. Actually, the fact I already wanted to say it earlier, but the fact that you have this while loop, I mean, it's really nice, but I wouldn't be that such a nice person to a user. I would just end the script and say, okay, just forget it. Yeah, that's the, I ask you something to give it in the range, and you don't, then just quit. But if you actually have a series of these questions, one after the other, and the person answers 4, and the fifth one is problematic, then it's actually a much better, much nicer way what you did to keep asking. Because if I just quit, then the person gets really annoyed that, oh, I already managed to answer 4, and then now in the fifth one that I made a mistake, and then I have to start it again. So it's a nice thing, and obviously the fact that you're using the try except block is really nice that you managed to do. We'll talk about this later on. I don't want to get into this now too much. I mean, people can search for it and understand it at the end. Yeah, I think that's it.
There was one more step.
Okay.
I don't quite remember what that was, but let's see. So we already had the. Oh yeah,
Just
here we had to be able to accept the actual name of the color in
okay.
a command line argument as well.
Mm-hmm.
So here I just put this lower here in order to make any input they make, so it doesn't matter if any of the letters are capital letters, I would still be able to implement it. Now here I had to.
You're really nice to your users, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so here I had to change the command line argument bit compared to the previous one, because here I handled if it is actually an integer, then I would do what I did before, and then I actually made this variable in a way that it's only going to be so at the end I would only have to print out the variable itself and not this whole statement here, which was the one I used before.
Yeah, but you can't really do that now, because maybe the value is actually the string already.
Here, no, because I'm only doing it if it's.
Yeah, but
yeah. At the end, yes. At the end, yes. Yeah. That's why I had to change it. And if it's not an integer, and if it's not in the list either, then I would just print out this is not in our list of colors, and then just finish the program, exit.
Yeah.
And then if there is no command line argument, then I would do the same while loop again.
Yeah.
With the only change being that again I had to use this line here to make sure that that I don't print out anything that is a string. I don't end up having that problem, because in the beginning here, if it's simply just a string, then I just, from here, I skip to the very end and just print out what color it is. Yeah. Oh, look, here I already did this. Apparently I was paying attention more.
Yeah.
Not here though.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can, so that's a great example for why it's much better to have this condition in a single place. Yeah, because that would really freak out everyone who's I just think about someone who's just executing this, and it's sometimes accepted and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
And then probably they wouldn't even be able to tell in which case it accepts 0 and in which case doesn't, because I mean, you have to take the attention to that. Okay, that's nice. Okay.
Right.
What was the next exercise? Do you remember?
Next exercise was, just let me check, counting digits, right?
Okay.
So here it is. So I think this was quite straightforward. I just used a for loop to go through all of the numbers in the list that was provided. I didn't get an input here, although it would be some kind of an improvement if we wanted to do that, to get this list from an input.
Next chapter.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so here I just went over each number, and in each number I went over each digit.
Mhm.
And if the digit,
But pointed out that you had to convert it into a
oh
string.
yes, so I had to convert each number into a string because integers would be not iterable,
Yes, they are not iterable.
but strings are. So, and then this is why I had to convert it back into an integer here.
Right.
I also created another list that is basically only for counting the occurrences of each digit, the
Yes.
appearance of each digit.
Mhm.
So with each digit, I would check, okay, this digit is, let's say, number 1, then in the list digits, which is this one, at the index that was this number, which is here number 1, add 1.
Right.
To what is already existing. So yeah, and then
Yeah.
at the end, I just used enumerate again to
Yeah.
print out both
Yeah.
the digits and the occurrences.
Right. Really nice. It's this exercise already is quite hard for many people actually. Uh, Understanding that you convert a number to a string, then iterate over, um, and then iterating over once the whole thing, because many times people uh, so many times. Oh, right. So the thing is that you thought about having a location, the digits list, to keep all the counts, all the counters, the 10 different counters. So this is basically your data structure. It's not a database because it's not an external something, but that's a very critical part of every program. Understanding and thinking how are you going to contain your data? How are you going to store your data in the memory of the program? And that's actually many people start with this exercise by saying, okay, let's go over all the numbers and find all the ones, and then all the twos and all the threes. And partially it's a bad idea, because now we go over all the values
Many times.
10 times in this case. Okay, and in this case it's not doesn't have an impact because it's so small. But if now you have 10 million numbers in a file, then you definitely do. It makes no sense to go over 10 times the whole thing.
Right.
So it's much better what you did, right? One thing that you could improve. Do you remember how that we can use multiplication on lists?
Right. I think I used it in another one of these exercises. Oh, right, the digits.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I didn't think of that
So you
at
can,
this point. I could
right?
do this. Should I use range or just say
No,
10
10.
here?
No, 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 no. There's
Because,
no.
okay,
There's no range here. It's 10. Just multiply by 10,
right.
and that's the same. So you created a list of 10
10 zeros.
zeros, right? Okay,
Okay,
great.
right. The next one was maybe, oh, we had to create a list from a different list, which was this one. Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
here we had this original big list of strings, which could be strings in themselves. So here I just joined them all up
Mm-hmm.
using spaces into one big string,
Right.
and then use the split method to split them using spaces again.
Okay.
So that gave that list, and then I think we had to find the unique fruits and then put them in
Okay.
alphabetical order as well. I think that was the second part of this task.
Mm-hmm.
So here I just created an extra list, an empty list, and then iterated over each object in the newly created list containing all of the fruits. And if the fruit I was actually looking at was already in here, then I would just continue.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not there, then I would append it into this.
Right.
And then at the end, I just use this sort function and then sort method, sorry, and then print out the list.
Okay.
Here I actually had a question. So first I tried printing out this. So saying that print parentheses and this
Yeah.
statement here, and it didn't work. Why is that?
Because this is a method, and this method doesn't return any value.
Right.
It returns none, and I think.
Yeah, that's what it returned.
Yeah. So it just sorts the list already. If you wanted to get the sorted list back, then you could use the sorted function.
Right.
And it wouldn't sort the original list, the original
It would make
variable.
a copy.
It make a copy
Right.
but then you would already print it out.
Right.
Okay. So one thing I think one thing that you could improve here is in the uniqueness, is that you don't know, you could just use the set, right? You have a list, you can call set on the, you can say unique fruits equal to set, and then you give it the fruits. And then you don't need the whole that whole thing.
Right.
Okay, because this loop actually goes over each. So okay, so, well, it's not clear here, but so I won't go in that. But okay, and then I'm not sure that you can actually use sort on fruit on a set.
Right.
You probably can't. So you probably you can call the list function. So now you need probably calling the list function on the unique fruits and put it in some other variable. You can actually use the same variable name if you really wanted.
Fruits equals.
Yeah, so you can do this.
Right.
Of course, you don't need actually, you don't really need the set to put the set in a variable.
Oh, right.
So
you could do this.
Yeah.
Right?
No. You would take whatever we have in line 13 now.
In line 13, yeah.
Take that and replace the whatever is in the list.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, and this now you already got, so it's, you use a set just to have the filtering to the uniqueness, basically. I wonder how speed-wise it works. I guess this is the fastest, but I'm not sure.
Right.
Because yeah, it's an interesting question if you have a huge list and then what do you do? But now I actually going to say that maybe the previous solution was actually better in a way. Well, maybe not, I don't know. So the thing is that this is good, but given that you have a small list in lines. But what if this comes from a file and that has millions of lines?
Right.
That would mean that you actually somehow read the whole, your solution requires, or this solution requires that you read the whole file into the lines variable, and then you join the whole thing together, and then you do it. Now, if the file is huge, then maybe it doesn't fit in the memory of your computer.
Right.
And you duplicate it. So maybe it fit the memory, but when you duplicate it, it doesn't fit anymore.
Right.
So it would be probably a better solution to go over element by element on the lines list.
Okay.
And then split it up, so you don't need the join anymore.
Right.
and then add it to let's say to a set.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that now?
Just if you like it. I don't. I mean.
Right. Okay. So with a for loop, right?
Yes.
What should it be? Line in lines, right?
Yes.
And then I should just split it, right?
Yeah. So you can use the split underneath. You don't. I
Right.
mean, you don't need the line 10 anymore.
Yeah.
That you don't need the whole thing.
So just here for now.
But now you don't use one line. You use.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to use wait. So I split each line.
Yes.
But it's still gonna be staying in the same. I'm confused for
Okay.
a
So no,
second.
you don't need that one line. Yeah. So just remove it, and that's it.
Okay.
So now you have the fruits of of a single line in the variable
So
fruits.
all of right. Okay.
So not all
Okay.
the fruits, just the fruits from a single line.
Right.
And then now you add it. You need to create a set, let's say,
Okay.
probably upfront, and then you just add it to the set all the time.
So should I like create a variable before the
Yes.
loop?
Yeah. You need a set variable there with an empty set. That would be
How do you like just
probably. So yeah. Probably you say unique fruits or something like this,
okay.
or just unique or whatever. And then equal to set with parentheses, and that's it.
Right.
Now you have an empty set.
Right.
And then on line 12, you have to add all the new fruits to the set. So I think you say it's unique dot add, I think. Or
And fruits.
yeah, I'm not sure actually how. Okay, fruits, and then you don't need the set function there underneath. Yeah, now it's
I
unique.
just see it unique.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure about if it's called add or yeah. Let's try to run this. Let's see if it works.
Let me share the prompt. Right. So this would be create list.
Okay.
Yes.
And it seems that it worked. Okay.
It did. Okay. Right. Should I go back to the?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Okay, so this solution allows you if it works even if you have a huge file of these things. What is the problem with this solution? What is the difference? Okay, what is the difference of the result? You should have run the program before you changed it, and then.
I mean, I still have the original if you want me to run that.
Yeah, if you like, if you just try to think what could be the difference. What is the difference in the result? Everybody watching the video? Okay, so I'll tell you the order of the words. Okay, so the previous one, actually, once we use the set when I started to suggest you to use the set, we already changed the order, because inside the set there is no order. Okay, so well after you sort it, okay, so actually you wouldn't see a difference because we sort the results and then we print it out.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But if you don't sort the results, you just have the results in a list, then you would probably see a difference, because your original solution actually kept the order of the words, of the first appearance of each word.
Yeah.
And this solution, the set, just creates a bag of all these fruits, and then when you call list on it, it will just create basically in a random order. Okay, and
Is
then
it
you
gonna create a random ordered list every time, which is different?
probably, yes, probably.
Right.
I would
Okay.
definitely not rely on it, because even if you run it a couple of times and it looks like the same, it might be the same for the given version of Python, and then the next version won't.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't. I mean, if I was reading actually the documentation of Python, then maybe I would actually know that how it handles it, because I think recent versions of Python have some um, they sort of keep, I think, the order, but I'm not sure in that, and
Right.
I wouldn't want to rely on this.
Right. It's
Okay,
better to be fail proof.
yeah. Okay, let's go. We have
Okay. We have
the
the
DNA,
next
I see.
exercise is not
No,
there was
not
another
yet.
one counting,
Yeah, okay.
count words,
Oh, okay.
which was this one here,
Mm-hmm.
where again we had a list of words, and then first I had to create another list of just the unique items in that. Again, here I could just call set
Okay,
on it.
okay, sure.
Now I see that.
Okay.
Should I do
No,
that
no,
now?
don't
No,
worry.
okay. Okay. And then again, I created another list to count for counting the
Okay.
appearance of
You,
each of them.
here you already used it.
Yes,
Okay.
here I used it. I didn't think of using it in the
Yeah, but
counting digits one.
it's showing the improvement.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
progressing. Okay.
So yeah, here again, I needed two for loops. The first one to go through all of the objects in here in the original list and get their index
Mm-hmm.
first. Actually, their index in this list, in the new list where they are only
Okay.
mentioned one time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of paired up the unique list to the occurrence list,
Okay.
making sure that the indexes are the same. So if the first index, like index 0 was moon here, then index 0 in occurrence would be counting the number of occurrences of moon.
Mm-hmm.
So then I would see that index, and in this new list of occurrence, I would add one
Yeah.
to that
Mm-hmm.
0 or whatever that number was before.
Yeah.
And then the other for loop was just for the printing. So I would print out first each object in the unique list, and get the index of that object, and then print out the object itself, and then the occurrence of it using the same index.
Mm-hmm. That's for the printing. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, nice, except I think that you could solve the last part by just going over all the indexes.
Right.
The two lists are the same length, right?
Yeah.
So you could just go over from 0 to the length of either
Okay.
one of them and use that index to access both.
So should I use range here?
Yes. So you would yeah, range.
Range 0 and len, whichever. I can use
Yeah,
either, right?
right, because they are the same length.
Yeah. Which was it?
Unique.
No, uni. CO. Yes.
Yes.
+1, right?
No, no, you don't need, because
Oh, because it's range. Yeah.
yeah, because it's range, and yeah, and
Yeah, and
you don't need the 0 comma, because
yeah.
if you only give one, that would be the default,
So
and
I
then
don't need this.
no.
And I can just say this is unique and then using TG, and then here TG, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So nice. Now, quick question, or it's not so quick, not such a quick question here. How many operations? So, given the length of the original list, okay, so let's say it's n, okay, that's the
Yeah.
length. How many operations do you need to do in order to solve this problem? How many how many times do you need to compare things, or Python needs to compare things?
Just the one time when I'm creating this list now.
Okay, no, okay, so I'll explain what
Yeah.
I mean, because probably it's
Right.
unclear. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think so.
so the way you do it is that the way you do this counting is that you create two lists. In one of them, that's going to be the equal lengths. One of them, you put the thing that you are counting, the actual value that you are counting, and in the other list, in the same location, you put the actual counter. Okay. In the previous, actually, let's go one step back. In the previous exercise, on the exercise when we're counting digits, it was really easy to put to have a list where you knew that the digits number, the digit 3 will be counted in the index 3. So the mapping of from the object that you're counting to the location where you count, it's an obvious mapping.
Yeah.
Here, because we have words, you don't have such obvious mapping. So what you did is you created this mapping using a separate list.
Yes.
Okay, but now, so now what you do is that every time you get to a new word, or you don't know if it's, so if you every time you get a word from the list, you have to go over basically the first list where you have the list of words and find where this word is located. So either you do it or you ask Python with the index function to go over each one of them and compare your word, your current word, to one of the values.
Right.
And so it's, if you have n different words, or then Python at the end will have to go over all the values, all the words, and compare which one is this one.
Right.
Right? And then once you found it, then you update the other list at the same location. So for n element, I have to go over all the n element again. That's like the
Right.
worst case situation when all the words in the original list were different. Okay, and this whole concept of how many operations we have depend as a function of the length of our input is called the big O notation. Okay, it's related to, it's what we call the complexity of our algorithm.
Right.
So all these things what we are doing, they are called algorithm. Okay, if instead of cooking recipe, so we call it algorithm because it sounds cooler. And every time we have an algorithm, we have to think about what is its complexity. So in this case, the complexity is n squared, because for each n element, you have n times n time comparisons. Okay, and sorting is also a standard. So if you sort something, okay, then you also, actually there are different techniques to sort things. I mean, for us, Python hides the techniques behind the sort keyword. But if you think about a bunch of people, let's say, that are in front of you, and you would like to sort them now according to their height, okay? How do you do that? There were different ways to do that. So you can go and take the first two and first two person and compare them. And I mean, you can just tell them to, okay, just get and sort yourself. But if you have to do it, you have to pick the first two and then either switch them if they are not the right order, or keep them as they are. And there is an algorithm where in which case you go over all the pairs. And then you have n elements, then n square pairs.
Right.
Okay, so that would take n square time. But there is another algorithm for sorting specifically that can do it in n log n time.
Right.
Okay, which is much faster. Okay, so with 10 elements, whatever, no, with 100 elements, n square is already 10,000, but n log n is, I think, only 100.
Right.
Or 100, or I don't know. I mean, way less.
I'm not
Way
very good
less.
at math,
Okay,
so
whatever. I don't remember. Anyway, the point is that the n log n is a way lower function than n square, and it can be quite important to think about the actual algorithm when you are writing a program. Okay, in this case that we are looking at, this is what we have, n square. When we are going to learn about dictionaries, we are going to see a better way that you can do the same thing in O of n, which is way faster, right?
right.
So this whole idea, so this is another part where you sort of have to think about mathematics, other area of programming where you have to think about a little bit about mathematics, when you have to figure out what is the complexity of your algorithm. Actually, in order to make to have a lower complexity algorithm when you have a choice. Okay, so if I remember when I think that one of the first jobs that I had, I wrote something, some program, and it worked really well when I gave it one item, and a little bit slower when I gave it 2 items, and by the time I gave it 10 items, it just wouldn't. I ran it and it never stopped. And then I looked at it and I found out that my solution was an n on the power of n.
Oh.
Which is obviously right. So I had to fix it, but that you have to. But that was sort of the first idea of how to solve it. That seemed like the most obvious solution to me.
Right.
And well, that's how I began. So that's an important thing. So to think about, and that's especially important when you are going to handle huge amounts of data. And that at the beginning, when you are researching, you will probably, or writing your program, you will use only a few items because you want it to be fast. And so you won't notice so much that the algorithm has a huge complexity. So it's an important subject to look at later on. Anyway, okay. We have more?
We have, I
more?
think, maybe one more.
Okay.
The DNA. Oh no, actually two more. Sorry.
Okay.
This is a long.
Yeah,
This
a
was
lot
a
of
long
exercise.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yes. So the next one that we had was check if a number is a prime or not, which was this one. So here we would have a command line argument of a number. Here I just checked if it's actually there or not. So if the argument is less than 2, then the length of the command line is less than 2, then I would just print it's not there.
Yeah, I think you should exit there, or.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you should just after that, or after the printing. It doesn't matter. Okay.
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 And then otherwise I would just convert it into an integer. And here I created a list where I would store all of the divisors of that number.
Okay.
So with this for loop, I tried in the range from 1 and that number, I don't actually know why I did +1 here.
Yeah, okay. Because you wanted it to also compare, use the num itself, and the range would give it to only
Yes,
num
yes.
-1.
Yes, exactly, which is kind of not necessary, I think, but doesn't matter. Yes, it is actually necessary. So I would get all of the divisors in this sense. So if the number divided
Yeah,
by I is
it's
it
0.
doesn't, yeah,
If it's
it
modulus 0.
gives, yeah, then I would put it in this list.
Mhm.
I did this just to, this is just a debugging step, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then if the length, I set this as the sort of a definition of a prime number, which should only have the divisors, two divisors, 1 and itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if the length of this list ends up being exactly 2, then I would print out true, which was the requirement of the exercise, and otherwise I would print out false.
Okay. Okay.
I
So,
didn't think that this was a very elegant solution, but this was all I could come up with.
well, this is like the most straightforward thing, I think. This is what I have, except that I don't go up till the number. I only go up to the
Just
square.
half.
No, just square of it.
Right.
It's enough to go to the square.
Okay.
And I also don't. I mean, personally, I don't. I start with from 2. I go up till the square. I mean, I guess I check if the number equals to 1, and then
I mean,
that's it.
one is not supposed to be a prime number, is it?
I don't remember anymore.
I
But
don't think so.
anyway, no. The thing is that I would start from range 2, from 2 the range up till the square of the number.
How do I do this?
Square, I think it's mass.sqrt, or just two stars, and
2
then
stars.
and then 0, 0, 5. So
Oh, right.
and put an int on the whole thing,
Ooh, why?
because this might not be integer.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, of course.
Okay, so now we go over, and then I would not even have a divisors, because I don't think that's in my interest. The only thing is interesting, if anything divides it, then I know that it's not a prime.
Right. Because you don't go up to the
I
actual
don't go up to
number.
number, I don't have
Yeah.
1 here, so if anything here divides, then it's a prime, and then,
Right. Then I don't need this
yeah.
either. So, and this either. And this either. So if anything divides it, then I would need to print false.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise I just print
Okay.
true. Right?
So,
Or do I just
no,
say
just
this?
just show me how it works.
And then I
Okay.
would have to break here.
Mm-hmm. I guess so, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's no point on going on in
Going
once you know
on.
that it's
Yeah.
found. Okay.
Oh,
So,
but no. This can't be right, because this will be printed anyway. So I
okay.
do need an else, I
Okay.
suppose.
Let's see.
Okay.
So what will happen now?
So if the number is actually a divisor, then it will print false. Oh, but there would never be an else.
Whoa.
No, it will print true every time the number we go over is not a divisor.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
So you had it right before, probably by slightly, but no, just don't remove that. Just
No. Okay.
unindent those 2 lines.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So this is something Python specific. I don't remember in any other. I don't know in any other programming languages that you have this. Probably there are other languages that you can have it. In most programming languages, you have a for loop and then it ends, okay? And then you have to decide somehow, you have to know somehow, after the for loop ended, whether you left it after finishing all the possibilities, or whether you left it after calling break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in every other programming language, or almost every other programming language, I guess, you would need a toggle, not a toggle, a flag for this. So a variable that starts out on line 11, and it says, let's say, found, or let's say is prime. Okay, you would say on a, let's do this now. So put on line 11 is prime. And you can put it, let's say, put it true in it. And when you found out that it's not a prime, then put in this variable as well.
Right. So here,
yeah,
I would have to say
is prime
is prime
equal to false.
False.
Okay, and then you wouldn't print there. Let's say, just comment out the print at the top here. Just comment it out for now. Line 14.
Line. Oh, right. Okay.
And then you don't need the else. You just print out. So just comment out. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, and you just print out, in this case, the is prime. Okay, so let's run this. Let's see if this works, and then we'll improve it in the Pythonic, more Pythonic way.
Okay. Do you see my?
No, not yet.
Okay. Oh shit. Yeah. Sorry. I always keep forgetting that I have to change the window. Right. Now you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Python, but what was it? Which was
Is
it was
prime.
this check if prime.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't. Of course. Yeah, I have to enter a number for that.
There is also some error here.
Okay.
So
Reference before assignment. Okay.
So
let me go back to the code.
It was when you didn't give a command line argument.
Right.
Did you save this?
Why is that? Yes, I did.
Okay. That's strange.
I don't use it before. It's actually.
And are you sure that you're running this version because
yes.
it's really
okay, let me try again. Now with actual command line argument. I mean, if there is no command line argument, that there is the
this is
variable
not the same
num.
code. It is not the code. This is not the right code. Look, in the error message. Okay, so before you make any changes, I'll show you something. But in the error message, you see 4I in range 1 to num plus 1.
Yes, but we didn't. This is not the one that we used before.
Right. Okay. This is quite a common actually problem that I encounter myself, and also with students, that we edit some version of the file, but we run some different file, either because we have the same file in different locations, same name, or just by mistake editing one file and then running another one.
I thought I saved it, but anyway, let me save it again.
Okay.
And let me try again if it works.
Yeah.
Okay, what number should I write? Should I write a prime?
Run it
without.
Yeah.
Okay, it says the same thing, although I did.
Yeah, so probably the file is located in, so you probably will have the file open in a different location.
Right. Okay.
Maybe you had the backup.
Oh yes. Oh, I used the wrong
the original
directory.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But let me. Okay. Let's run it, and then I'll. Yeah.
What was it?
Check
if prime. Why can't I see that now? Okay. And now it's just there is no command line argument, right?
Okay. So run this one.
Okay. And what number should I give it?
3.
Okay.
Okay,
It
4
says
now.
true. Nice. Okay.
Try it with 4. Ah.
Okay, that's not good.
We have a problem here.
Okay,
Okay.
let me go back then. Okay.
So we said is prime true, and if the number divides it, if I divides it, oh, okay. Now we have very sure. Now we have to put +1 to the in line 12, because now think about it. It's exactly with 4. So exactly
Right.
with numbers that, yeah.
Okay.
Earlier we didn't have needed the plus 1, but well, we will need it.
Right. And it becomes false. Oh, right. I'm not
I
showing
don't
you
see it,
that.
but yeah,
I'm not showing you that, but
yeah.
you can see it now. It gave
I
false, but
trust you. I trust you. Okay,
yeah.
good. So just let me show you the trick I use whenever I have. So it happens. Okay, in our case, we ran the program and we got an error message that was obviously not from this program because we already changed that code. So
Yeah.
it sort of gave the clue that either the save didn't work or you were running a different file. But this is not always the case. Sometimes it happens to me as well. Okay, so it's just don't worry about that. It happens to me that I edit some file and I run it and the change didn't take effect. It was running earlier, it was running fine earlier. I guess there was a bug or something in there, but it was running and I made some change and it's still running and it's still doing the same thing as earlier. And then I get really confused why does it happen. But I remember that yes, once in a while I edit one file and then I run something else, or maybe this is a program that I'm actually editing a module, and this the program I'm running is not loading that version of the module, but loading.
Right.
Okay, so it's not I'm running the right file, but it's finding a different file that was supposed to be. So what the standard thing that I do is that I create a syntax error in my own code.
Okay.
And so just create a syntax error now. Just type in any remove the colon, let's say,
Okay.
from the end, save it, and then run it. You don't have to show it, or you can, but
I'll show it. It's
okay.
better, isn't it? Okay. So now I
You
run
just run
it.
it, and yeah, you get the syntax error.
Right.
Okay,
So
so
you can check.
so you can check that you're actually editing that file, because if you're running and you're still not getting the syntax error, then it's quite obvious that okay,
It's not
so
that file. Yeah.
that's not the file. So it's just a I don't know, a stupid
Handy
trick.
trick.
Yeah, I use, because this can easily happen. I mean, yeah. Okay. What else do we have?
We still have one left, which is
Okay.
the DNA sequence one that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Now from this one, I think I did it a bit more complicated than I should have, but
Okay.
anyway, I did a second one, which oh, actually, this is the first one,
Mm-hmm.
which was not complicated at all. This was fine, I think.
Okay.
So here I just had the sequence that
Mm-hmm.
that was on in the exercise. I split it where the x's were, but obviously this gave a lot of empty strings as well,
Mm-hmm.
because only one x was taken into consideration. So if there were
Yeah.
two x's next to each other, there would be an extra
Right.
empty string, which I removed with a for loop.
Okay.
So I went over each string in the each character in the string of code bases. No, actually, that
Each
became a
element.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went over each string in the list bases,
Mm-hmm.
and then if the string was an empty string, then I removed it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I just sorted it according to their length and in reverse, because in the exercise you said in an expected output that the longest one was in front. So
Okay,
yeah, and then just printed it.
nice. I think you have a bug here,
Okay.
but I don't know how to show an example to actually show this. Well, maybe if you put 2 X's at the end, very end of the sequence, maybe then
Okay.
it will do it. I'm not
Should I run
sure.
it?
I'm not sure. Let's try it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it
Okay.
actually creates that problem,
Okay.
or if there
So
is really that problem. Just go back now. I think now you're not editing the original, right? Hopefully.
no, I'm in the right directory now, but that's
In the
fine.
originals? Okay.
Yes, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'll just replace them with the corrections
Okay.
later. Okay, and not this one, but this one.
Yeah. So there's no. Well, yeah. It left in the.
Yes, that was my issue actually with the next
Right.
iteration
Okay.
where I tried to remove
Okay.
everything that was not an X as well.
Okay. So let's go back to the code.
Okay.
I'm not even 100% sure that that's the reason that I saw that's the reason that's here now. So the problem I see, okay, there's a slightly minor problem or whatever I say. Well, how should I say it? So the variable str is not a good idea because
Okay.
there is a function called str,
Right.
and now you just don't have that function anymore.
Right.
Okay, so it happens to me as well. Just don't worry.
Yes.
Okay, there are
Yes.
tools that we'll see later on that will recognize this and tell you that, okay, you're overwriting one of the built-in functions of Python. The issue that I actually see is that you're iterating over a list, and at every iteration you might change the list. So the next iteration, so on every iteration, you might change the list when you're removing an element.
Right.
Okay, and that's not a good idea. Okay, probably
Okay.
that's the reason that you have the leftover
Yeah.
empty. A better idea, and in any case, what you think here is not really so it's you probably think that, okay, I'm going over the elements, and when I've encountered one, I remove it. But what Python does is actually goes over the element. When it encounters an empty, then it calls remove, and remove starts from the beginning looking for one. And it finds the
Right.
same one probably, but not what you thought. Okay.
Right.
Okay. It's probably a better way to say that as long as there are empties in the list, find the first one and remove it.
So instead of a for loop, just use a while loop.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
So I would.
no, you just need while the statement
Okay.
is the same. The condition is the
right.
same.
So while
The same condition.
what
So
do you mean same condition? Like
sorry. The condition while empty. So we're while empty in basis. Yes.
basis.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you don't need that one, and the next 2 lines basically you don't need. And then just remove empty space.
Okay.
Okay. And then let's try this one, and hopefully let's try to run this.
So yes, this is the one. And it removes the last one as well. Okay.
So an even better solution would probably use a map or a filter actually, okay, that we haven't learned, but don't worry about it now.
Okay. So yeah, this was the one I made, and then I made another one just because I'm very I don't know, weird and like doing extra stuff.
I think that's the basis of programming. So I mean, those people who actually go ahead and create these extra exercises, I think those people will go much faster ahead in programming than the other people who just this is my experience. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, in here, what I did is I wanted to remove anything that is not one of the 4 bases.
Mm-hmm.
So I created this extra string nucleotides.
Okay.
And made a list from the sequence that we had. This was just for debugging, sorry.
Okay.
I don't need that now. And for every nucleotide in that sequence list, if the nucleotide was not contained in the string nucleotide, so it's not one of the 4 bases, then I would replace it with an X.
Oh, okay.
And then run the same thing that I did before, except for doing this join bit where I joined it all together again, to use the same thing.
Nice, nice. Okay. So yes. Okay. So first of all, okay, just comment out the loop.
The loop. This loop.
This loop, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is Ctrl/, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. What extra letters do you have there that are not nucleotides? You
nucleotides.
have
I have
B and
I have an L, a D.
Okay, so you have
and
a few.
U.
Okay, so you have a few. Okay, so let's try first of all, and then you'd use. Okay, so you don't need the also line 4 and line 12. You don't need.
Line 4. Okay.
And line 12 you don't need. Instead of that, write sequence equals, so sec equals to. I don't. Yeah, I think so. Yes, sec equals to sec dot replace, and then in parentheses put on the left hand to put a L, let's say, just the capital L in string as a string.
String, yes.
And comma, and then after the comma and X, the capital X, and then just print the sec, so the SEQ, and then exit, so we don't do all the rest for now. And I think you made, yeah, okay. Let's see if we can run this.
So this
and if it actually does what we expect.
It replaced the L,
Okay.
which was. Oh right, I'm not showing you, of course.
Yeah, but it's
oh
okay.
Oh my god. Right.
Okay, so it replaced the L. Okay.
It did replace the L, yeah, here.
Okay.
It was
so
here.
Let's try another one.
Okay.
Let's try to add next to the L also B. I've never tried, so just to know in the same string. I'm not even sure. No, probably it won't work. Okay. Try it because I don't remember. I don't know if it works or not. Okay, so
sorry.
Just put the B in there and then let's see if that works.
Okay. It didn't work.
No, it didn't work. Okay, so you say then it may. Okay, so this I don't know if you can use replace this way when you need multiple things to replace. You can use a regular expression for this.
Right.
Okay, let's do this now for quickly. Okay, because.
So should I just get rid of these?
You can no, don't get rid of this. Just get rid of the replace part.
Oh, that's not what I meant. Sorry.
Control
Z, just the replace part. Okay.
The whole replace part, just to get rid of that. Okay. So now you type in re dot sub in parentheses. You open a parenthesis. The first one you say R, and then open a pair of quotes. Oh, that's going to be a very interesting regular. You can close it. I mean, so.
Yeah, okay, that was like the.
Okay, in there you put in a pair of square brackets.
Pair of square brackets, yes.
Yeah, in the square brackets, can you move thanks. You put a caret.
A caret.
Yes.
Which is?
The roof, the house.
Yeah, okay.
That's called a caret.
Okay,
Not a carrot like what you are eating.
Yeah.
It's a carrot. which I have no idea what is, but yeah, this is it. For me, this is the only meaning of it. Okay, and then you put in, you would want to replace everything which is not an ACTGX, right?
Well, yeah, yeah.
So put in all the values that you don't want to replace. So ACTGX.
Okay, CTG
X, right? And then that's the all of, so none of the, all the other characters you would want to replace, right?
Yes.
With a single X.
Yes.
Okay, so after the closing of the quotation mark, comma, and then a string which is a single X.
Okay.
And you also have to import RE.
At the beginning, right?
Usually at the beginning people do this.
Ah, that's again not what I wanted. Oh my God. Oh wait,
It's gonna
that's
be a very,
supposed to be.
no, no,
Wait, no.
no, that's it.
Is
That's
that it?
good.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. It's gonna be a very religious episode.
Yes.
Okay. Show us
Okay.
the code,
I'll run
please.
it. Yes.
Let's see if it works.
Okay.
What?
One positional argument is required.
Let's see. What did I do? What did the?
Do you want me to go back to
Yes,
the
please.
code?
Let me. What? Okay. Sure. Yeah. So last parameter is the string actually that we are working on it. So we were just saying do something, but we didn't tell it on what.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, run it again.
Yes, please.
Okay. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, now it actually replaced everything with an X.
Okay, so that's what we wanted, right?
Yes.
Okay, go. So let's go back.
Okay,
So,
and then we don't need this now.
Yeah, but I guess I'll have to give you some explanation of what
Yes,
did we do just?
yes, please.
Okay, so this part of the regular expressions, this says basically the sub thing says that the first thing is the regular expression. The second is what is going to replace every place that the regular expression matches in the variable, in the content that we have on the third place. Okay, so this regular expression works on the SEQ, which is the third parameter, and whatever the first regular expression matches is going to be replaced by the string in the second location. So what's the regular expression here? So the R is just there for it to be a row string, which is actually not even necessary in this case, but I quite standard way that I do that every regular expression has an R at the start is written in a row string. In this case,
Okay.
we don't need it, but never mind. The regular expression is inside the quotes, so that's it. In the square brackets, a square bracket basically means that in the square bracket, I would just list all the things that I would want to match. Okay, but because it was much easier to say what I don't want to match, we put a caret. So this caret and this stuff means that match anything that's not an A, C, T, G, or X. And then replace whatever you matched with an X, which is the second parameter of this whole expression. And the third parameter is what are we working on? And then this doesn't change the SEQ normally, but because we put it back into it with the assignment, that's what it changed it.
Right.
Okay, and then we're going to learn about regular expressions a lot more. It's just a way to show you that it can be pretty powerful.
Yeah, in one line,
Yes.
I could do what I did in what,
Yeah,
7 lines.
it can be easily, you can do easily things in one line that otherwise you would do in 100.
Yeah.
So, or even more. So it's very powerful, certain type of things. Anyway, do we have any other
No, this was the
exercise
last
solution?
exercise.
Okay, great. So let's stop the screen sharing now. Okay, I'll stop yours as well. And then move it out. Okay, so thank you for the exercises, for the solutions. It was great. I hope that I helped you improve a little bit some of the things. And thank you everyone for watching it. And see you in the next video for the next chapter.
See you.
Any questions or
No, I don't
no?
think so.
We spent enough time on this, so it's okay. Okay. So thank you very much again, and see you soon.